Greetings, all. It's Max, and we're back, and we're doing a special request, Max Bauer testimony and where I come from. And I'm kind of been mulling over this for a couple of hours about where I'm going to start and what we're going to talk about. I'm going to do a brief backstory on me and then how I came to Christ. A lot of videos I put in sort of how I came to Christ. This one, I'm going to do a little backstory, people that I talked to on the phone and things like that. I told them where I come from. So here we go. I grew up in Stillwater, actually about 5 to 10 miles outside of Stillwater, on a hobby farm. My parents were divorced when I was about 3. So I never really knew that. I have a couple of memories of my mother being there. I live with my father. And like I said, it's a hobby farm. Dad was a mechanical guy, always really put a lot of emphasis on money and getting good jobs and stuff like that. Grew up cutting wood. I probably cut way more wood than Denlinger did. But, as a little kid, I was driving at 6 years old around the farm. Learned how to do all that stuff, and, I can credit, my dad for maybe not being the best parent, but he taught me a lot of stuff. Went to a high school, Stillwater High School. Brand new school, had 1,200 people in my 10th grade class. And I think there was, the whole school was like 3,000 to 4,000 people, something like that. All a bunch of rich white kids. Basically what it was. And then we go on, and my brother lived in Virginia. I have 2 brothers. We're 5 years apart, but my oldest brother is 10 years from me. So every 5 years, my parents had a kid. So we went to Grizzard, Virginia, a town of 12 to 17 people. I know it was less than 20. And it used to come up on Google Maps, and the trailer was still there that we lived in, the crappy trailer that we lived in. And it was down there I went to school for my senior year in it was kindergarten through 12th grade, and basically all black. So I know a little bit about racism and stuff like that. While I was down there, that's where I wrote almost all of my songs. Where I had nothing to do but sit in the trailer and play my guitar. So, yeah. That's what happened with that. And after I graduated, I came back to St. Paul, Minneapolis, where my family is. Came back there and got a job as a baker. And played in bands. And that's what I did. Now, since then, I'll just go through a job sort of history here. Did the job as a baker, went to school for IT. After that, went and worked at an oil refinery. Did that. Worked as a marketing executive for Hewlett Packard because of my IT background. Worked for myself as a marketing executive. After that, kind of got myself into a bunch of trouble. Got into a bad relationship with a person who just wanted to get me in trouble all the time. That's how it goes. Some of it's my fault, some of it's theirs. That's how it is. But during that time of trouble, I picked up some other skills where I got into writing and doing other things. And what ended up happening was I'm trying to figure out how I can make money without just doing whatever, working for myself, which I had done before. So I did writing. And I'm thinking, well, maybe YouTube. Maybe I can do that. So I created a couple of channels. And during that time, I'm getting kicked around from couch to couch to couch. I ended up at my friend's house, renting a room from him, where I had nothing but free time, you would say. And all of the jobs that, I've had, I've actually made decent money. My first job was when I was about 12 years old. I was making $10 an hour, chipping Christmas trees. Okay. This is going to be a rambling video because I'm trying to put thoughts together in my head about where I'm going with this. And I'm kind of want to get to the salvation part and the testimony part. But I want to cover my backstory a bit. Like I said, with the writing thing, I did take classes for writing and stuff like that after I was out of jail, yes. And I'm looking at ways where whatever happens, I can take care of myself. This is before I'm saved. I'm not looking to God or Christ or anybody to save me. I'm not in that mode. But when I rented the room from my friend, I'm playing my video games or whatever. And on my second monitor, I'm curious about certain things. And I'm missing something. I mean, there can't be brought up. I've brought up my entire life about you got to work for the state and get a good paying job. I'm going to work for the state. And I never did that. Made more than my dad did, but whatever. Work for the state, get a good secure job. It's really important. Okay. From getting kicked around so much in my life, I realize that that's not even important at all. Because when you're sitting there when you have no money and you can actually exist, not having all of this stuff, I mean, the stuff that you have makes a slave out of you. Honestly, it makes a slave out of you. And it's important to realize you don't need it. All right? Sometimes you need things. I just got a roof. I needed the roof. I did not want to spend $8,000, okay? I did not. But it was absolutely needed. But do you need to spend, $50,000 on a Cadillac Escalade? I mean, come on. Do you need that stuff? I came to that realization that it's like, wow, I've existed for all this time getting kicked around, being broken poor, and I never had a place to settle down where I could actually collect my thoughts. And then I did. I had a place where I could actually set up shop. And what I did was start looking at what's more important. It can't just be making money, death, and taxes. What kind of life is that? And I understand people with children and stuff, they go, well, you have kids. Well, I don't have kids. Okay, so I can't say I'm here for my children. It's just me. And well, now it's my wife, but that's later on in the story. So, I had the opportunity to basically, in all of my free time, poke around on the internet about spiritual things because there's something missing. And I never believed in evolution. I never believed it. I believed in some of it, like, maybe. And I'm going to have to give props to this guy. Okay? I go against him now because he's teaching mid-trib, pre-wrath garbage. But When you're poking around in that area, you come down to young earth creationism, they call it. Young earth creationism. That was the thing. I mean, whether or not you're listening to David Icke or any of those people, like, it'll always come back to Christianity somehow. Everybody's always kind of sort of attacking Christianity. That's interesting. And what got me with Ken Holvin was he completely kicks the crap out of everybody in every debate. Completely. From the Bible. So, obviously, now I'm like, how can these college professors not beat up a guy who just went to Bible school? How can they not do that? That's what led me on to other people. Walter Veith. Watched his Total Onslaught series probably 3 times now. Well, back in the day. This is 2011, 2012. So it's a while ago. And listen to what he had to say. He has some good stuff, and then he's got some stuff. Murray's Seventh-day Adventist. And that's what I thought that I was. Because at some point in there, through 2011, 2012, I decided that, well, this is what I'm missing. And it's a process, for me, it was a process of elimination. Where after I realized that evolution could not happen, you have to accept a creator. And then it's a process of finding who the creator is. And then process of elimination going, there's no way it's anybody else other than Jesus. That's it. That's it. That's all you got. And of course, with these, with Walter Veith and Ken Holvin, King James Bible version only. There's no contradictions in it. And that intrigued me. There's no contradictions. In a book, as a writer myself, I know I mess up in my writing. I mess up. Make plot holes and things like that. You have a book that's written over 1,000 years, and there's no problems, and there's no errors. No errors in it. And that's what got me. And people will say, well, you got saved by head knowledge. No. No. It was head knowledge that brought me to it. Okay. Saved by faith. But my convincing took head knowledge in order to get me there. Just like Lee Strobel, which I did a movie review on his movie. Sometimes it takes that, where you have to go in and investigate every little thing, just like what if you decide you're a Christian, what denomination you're going to be and what you're going to believe in. It takes some research. You're saved by faith in Jesus Christ and his blood, and then he rose again and conquered death for you. But how you get to that point is going to be different for everybody. And also during that time, we got Robert Breaker, listening to him. Some good stuff. And I also want to talk about dispensationalism here. Because during, there's David Icke. During this part where I'm pretty much religiously watching Walter Veith. Total Seventh-day Adventist. Trying to find Seventh-day Adventist churches to go to, and there really wasn't any. Didn't have a car, didn't have anything. I had 2 pairs of clothes in my backpack or something like that. Trying to go there. It was during that time where I couldn't find any, and I run across people who are calling them a cult and this and that. And I'm like, what's that about? Why are you calling them a cult? And watch some of those videos. And then I learn about dispensationalism, because Unfortunately, the Seventh-day Adventists are not dispensationalists. They think that they're Jews. So, with that, we roll on. And once I figured out dispensationalism and what people are talking about, got into Brian Denlinger, Robert Breaker, Sam Gipp, James Knox, and decided, this Seventh-day Adventism is kind of garbage. I mean, they have some really good stuff. They're KJV onlyist, but because they're non-dispensational, they put themselves in the place of Jews. What ended up happening after that is my friend sold his house and moved to Texas, so I had to find a new place to live. I ended up moving in with the same person who had been responsible for calling the police on me many times, but I really didn't have an option at that point. While I was there, I created YouTube channels, trying to generate some money, thinking I could play video games and stuff like that, and maybe put together a video. But I learned how to use video editing software and make videos, and then I'm kind of like, I could probably make a channel and just do a Christian thing. And that's how I got my start. And of course, the person, as they had in the past many and many times, wants to go nuts. And I left. Moved somewhere else with a person that I'd known about 8 years or something like that. And went to seminary, which was right up the block. Just for the purpose of learning more about God. So what I did. And of course, when that didn't work out, I ended up basically at a frat house. That's what it was. Continued doing my thing. And after that, my wife lived right up the street for the most part. Met her. And the rest is history. Bought a house in Glencoe. Not a very exciting place, but we bought a house here, and I'm continuing to do what I do with the videos and things like that. I mean, was there a moment of salvation? There are some people who place a lot of emphasis on what day did you get saved. It's like, no, it's kind of a gradual process. I never even heard the gospel. Probably until Kent Hovind or Walter Veith. Never even heard it. And by then I'm like 30 years old. I'm 40 now. It's been a long time. I never even heard it when I was a kid. And my mom went to church. She liked singing in the choir. My dad didn't want nothing to do with it. But the big thing for me, creation evolution, whether or not you believe the earth is 6,000 years old or 30,000 or 1,000,000 years old, has nothing to do with God. Okay? Once you come to the point that you have to acknowledge God created everything, everything else is more or less philosophy. The only thing that you need to do is understand, well, God is who? Is it the Muslim God? Is it the Buddha God? Who is it? And for me, it was process of elimination. And the fact that the KJV is 100% accurate, correct, with absolutely no contradictions in it whatsoever. It has to be inspired by God because I write, okay? Because of my personal experience. writing stuff. You can't have that many authors and not have mistakes in it. Just look at the Quran. Mistakes all over that thing. So that's what I got. And like I said, now we're off in Glencoe. And we're continuing to do our things. And I might briefly touch on like lordship salvation and people questioning their salvation and stuff like that. Because I never really did question my salvation after whatever point I got saved. Never really did, and I never really understood why people would preach that. Because once you're saved, you're saved. Okay? But I do get questions about, oh, well, I was saved and then I went back into XYZ for a couple of months and I felt bad about it. Yeah, that happens. It's called life. That's just called life. Do you think that, I had some hard times after I was saved and I was going to Bible school. I had some hard times there. Do you think I blame God for that? Or do you think that I question my salvation? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There is no, and I put my faith in God, and God put me in a place that was safe. I had to go through some trouble and some times, but God took care of me, just as God is taking care of me now. Blessed us with enough money to handle our bills and not be really in too much debt. Not in too much. A little bit. And we can live our lives and be happy. And now I'm not sleeping on somebody's couch. So it all works out. And I'm not discounting the fact that there's going to be hard times in the future. It happens. But never once did I, after salvation, I didn't curse God. I didn't think I cursed God before that. It was all my fault. So that's what we got. And during those hard times, that's when you run to Christ. And that's exactly what I did. Living in a motel for 3 weeks or something like that, because I had no place to go. Yeah. Reading the Bible. Going, what am I supposed to do here? And of course, now, a couple of years later, 3 years later, something like that, we're got a house and a dog and a cat, and we're all just happy. And with the questioning salvation, lordship salvation thing or something like that, if you're questioning your salvation, the odds are you're saved. I mean, seriously. Because lost people do not question their salvation, okay? Lost people don't watch Christian videos. Lost people don't do that, all right? Hey, we got a big truck outside. So, I guess with that, that's me, a brief overview of where I come from, and yeah, that's about what I got. So with that, God bless. We are out of here.